All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into some fresh out the oven AI research from Google DeepMind.
Oh, yeah. This one dropped like, what, just a few days ago?
Literally January 20th, so like brand spanking new.
That's what I love about these deep dives. We're right there on the cutting edge.
Absolutely. And this paper, let me tell you, it's a doozy. It's all about taking these large language models, these LLMs.
The things behind every chatbot these days, right?
Exactly, but taking them beyond just like spitting out quick answers.
They want to make AI a deeper thinker, huh?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And they've got this new technique they're calling mind evolution.
Now that sounds intriguing. So how do they actually make an AI think more deeply? What's the magic formula?
Well, imagine this. You've got an AI brainstorming like a ton of different solutions to a problem.
Okay, I'm picturing like a whiteboard covered in AI scribbles.
And then you've got another AI, but this one's like a super smart critic.
Oh, so it's judging the other AI's ideas.
It evaluates them, yeah. But more importantly, it suggests ways to make those solutions even better.
So it's not just saying good or bad. It's like, hey, you can tweak this part and get a better result.
Exactly. And that back and forth process, the brainstorming and the critiquing, that's the core of mind evolution.
Kind of like a good study buddy, pushing you to think harder and refine your ideas.
Right. It's about giving the AI that feedback, that push to level up its thinking.
But this critic AI, does it just give a thumbs up or down? Or what? What's it actually doing?
It's way more nuanced than that.
Well,
This critic, or what the paper calls the evaluator, has three main jobs.
hit me with them.
First, it scores solutions based on like how well they solve the problem.
Makes sense. Got to know if it's even on the right track.
Then it checks if those solutions are following the rules, like whatever constraints are in place.
So keeping the AI honest, making sure it's playing by the rules.
And here's the really cool part. It gives feedback that actually helps the LLM understand why a solution works or doesn't.
So it's not just wrong answer. It's wrong answer because of X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. It's like having a teacher who explains why you got something right or wrong, so you actually learn from it.
I wish I had more teachers like that back in the day.
Right. So imagine you're planning a trip, right? You've got a budget. You've got to be in certain places on certain dates.
And you've got to hit all the best tourist traps.
Of course. Well, this evaluator AI is like that super organized friend who analyzes your itinerary
Make sure you're not overspending, that
Yeah.
you're not double booked, that kind of thing.
and suggests better ways to fit everything in. Like, hey, if you swap these two cities, you'll save a ton on flights.
That's a friend everyone needs.
Totally. So the researchers, they wanted to see how this mind evolution idea actually worked, right?
You put it to the test. So what challenges did they cook up for the AI?
They started with some existing AI benchmarks like TravelPlanner and Natural Plan.
Those sound familiar. They're about planning complex itineraries and schedules, right?
Yeah, like multi-city trips or packing a ton of meetings into a day. Stuff that's hard even for humans sometimes.
And I'm guessing Mind Evolution aced those tests.
Oh yeah, mind evolution just blew the other approaches out of the water.
Spill the tea, what kind of results are we talking?
In some cases, it was getting near perfect scores.
Wait, hold on. Near perfect on stuff like planning complicated trips. That's wild.
I know, right? Especially compared to how AI usually tackles these things, which often involves a ton of pre-programmed rules or extra tools.
But Mind Evolution is different. It's letting the LLM learn from its mistakes and actually get better over time.
More like how we humans learn, yeah.
So it's not just blindly following instructions, it's actually figuring stuff out.
That's what makes it so exciting. But they didn't stop there. The researchers got even more creative.
Oh, lay it on me.
They invented a whole new challenge called StegPoet.
StegPoet. That sounds intriguing. What's that all about?
It's about hiding secret messages inside poems.
So, like, the AI is writing poetry, but it's also sneaking in some kind of code. That sounds insanely difficult, like way harder than planning a trip.
It is, because with StegPoet, the AI has to be creative and follow specific rules at the same time.
So it can't just write any old poem. It has to make sure the message is hidden right.
And on top of that, it's hard to even check if the AI got it right because the message is supposed to be secret.
So it's like a high-tech poetic treasure hunt.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Mind evolution was surprisingly good at it.
Really? So this thing can plan trips, write secret code poetry?
Yeah.
What can it do?
No, right. And that's why this research is so exciting. It shows that mind evolution could help AI tackle a whole new class of problems, the kind that need both logic and creativity.
Okay, now I really want to see this poetic spy in action. Give me an example.
All right, so in figure 10 of the paper, they gave the AI this challenge. Hide the message. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20. Inside a poem about the fun of walking.
A poem about walking with all those numbers, and it has to be like a specific style too, right? Like Shel Silverstein.
Yep, they wanted that Shel Silverstein vibe.
So did the AI pull it off? Did it manage to hide all those numbers in a poem that didn't sound completely bonkers?
It did, and it's pretty amazing how they did it.
Okay, I gotta hear this. Give me a sneak peek at those AI-generated verses.
So the AI came up with lines like, I like to walk, I like to stride, with rooster crows and flowers by my side, to see the cherry trees in a crimson hole, to watch the sunset and hold a ruby's gambol.
Hold up, so those capitalized words, those are the secret numbers.
Each one represents a number from that message, all encoded into the imagery of the poem.
So it's not just randomly throwing words in there, it's actually weaving the code into the fabric of the poem.
That's seriously impressive.
I know,
Yeah.
right. But hold on a sec. We've been throwing around all these AI terms, LLMs, evaluators, this whole brainstorming and refining process.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
Can we rewind a bit and make sure everyone's on the same page about how all these pieces fit together? Like starting with these LLMs, what are they exactly?
Okay, good point. LLMs, or large language models, they're basically the foundation of all this. They're what's powering a lot of the AI we use every day, like chatbots and predictive text.
So they're the brains of the operation, but they need some guidance to reach this deeper level of thinking, right?
Exactly. And that's where mind evolution comes in. It's like giving the LLM a personal trainer for its brain, pushing it to think harder and smarter.
So it's not about creating some brand new super AI. It's about finding new ways to use the AI we already have.
Precisely. And that's what's so exciting about this research. It suggests we might be closer than we think to unlocking even greater potential from AI.
Now, how does this mind evolution magic actually work? What's happening behind the scenes?
Okay, so to guide the AI's thinking, the researchers use these things called prompts.
Prompts, like what kind of prompts?
They're basically instructions or questions that they feed to the AI. It's like giving it a recipe to follow, but with enough flexibility for it to still be creative.
So they're not just letting the AI run wild, they're giving it some direction.
Yeah. Right. And to help the AI judge the quality of its own solutions, they use these things called evaluation functions.
Evaluation function. That sounds kind of like a rubric a teacher would use.
Yeah, it's basically a way for the AI to grade its own work and figure out which solutions are worth pursuing.
Makes sense. So it's not just about generating ideas, it's about being able to assess those ideas too.
And it turns out the way they design these prompts and evaluation functions is super important.
What did they learn about that?
They found that using textual feedback, like actual words and sentences, was way more effective than just giving the AI a numerical score.
So it's like instead of just saying C- on a paper, you're giving the AI actual constructive criticism.
Right, like, hey, your poem could use some work on the imagery, and the secret message is a little too obvious.
That makes a lot of sense. It's giving the AI a deeper understanding of what it did right and wrong.
Exactly, and that helps it learn and improve much faster. Now, there's one thing that really caught my eye when I was reading about mind evolution, this idea of refinement through critical conversation.
Refinement through critical conversation. That sounds like something you'd hear in a writing workshop.
I know, right? But they're talking about AI here.
So is the AI like debating with itself or something?
In a way, yeah. They create these two distinct characters within the AI, the critic and the author.
Wait, hold up. You're telling me the AI is having a conversation with itself?
Basically, the critic analyzes the solution, interprets the feedback, and suggests ways to fix any problems.
And then the author takes those suggestions and creates a revised solution.
Exactly. And this back and forth, this internal dialogue, it keeps going, refining the idea with each round of conversation.
Whoa, that's trippy. It's like having two different parts of the AI's mind working together.
One part's the creative generator, the other's the critical editor.
And that clash of perspectives, that's what pushes the AI to think more deeply and come up with better solutions.
The researchers even did a study where they removed the critic role from the process, and mind evolution's performance tanked.
So having that internal dialogue is really crucial. But all this talk about AI having conversations with itself, mind evolution sounds incredibly complex to manage.
It is, but the researchers were also looking for ways to simplify and streamline the process.
Okay, how'd they do that?
Well, remember how we talked about those islands that evolve independently and then share their best solutions?
Yeah, like different teams brainstorming separately and then comparing notes.
The question is, how do you choose which solutions are the best to share?
Right, like which ideas are worth spreading to the other teams?
Initially, they were just picking the top performing solutions based on their scores, but then they had this brilliant idea. Why not let the LLM itself choose which solutions are most promising and diverse?
So they're basically asking the AI to curate its own collection of the best and most interesting ideas.
Exactly, putting the AI in the driver's seat. And guess what? It worked.
No way. Letting the AI manage those island resets actually made it perform better.
It did. It's like the AI isn't just good at coming up with creative solutions, it's also good at judging which ones are most valuable.
That's next level AI. But this whole mind evolution thing, do they need some super secret AI to pull it off?
Nope. They actually got these results using off-the-shelf LLMs, the same kind, that are already powering a lot of the tools we use every day.
So it's not about having some fancy new technology. It's about finding creative ways to use what we already have.
And that's what makes this research so exciting. It suggests we might be closer than we think to unlocking even greater potential from AI.
Just by finding clever ways to guide its thinking and encourage it to learn and evolve.
This is all blowing my mind. It feels like we're at the dawn of a new era of AI.
One where we're moving beyond just giving AI instructions to actually empowering it to think for itself.
Learn from its mistakes and constantly improve.
That's a great way to put it. And it's exciting, but also kind of daunting, you know?
Yeah, with any powerful new technology, we got to proceed with caution and responsibility.
Absolutely. We need to make sure this evolution of AI is one that benefits humanity.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the basics of mind evolution to how it works in practice, to some pretty amazing examples of what it can do.
We've talked about prompts and evaluation functions, AI having conversations with itself, and even AI curating its own ideas.
And we've seen how mind evolution can be applied to a whole range of problems, from planning trips to writing secret code poetry.
But the story doesn't end there. There's still so much more to explore.
I know, right? This mind evolution thing, it's a game changer, but it's just the beginning.
And we haven't even scratched the surface of what it could be used for in the future.
All right, everyone, you heard it here first. Things are about to get even more interesting. Stay tuned.
So we've established that mind evolution can, help AI tackle these complex problems, be more creative, all that good stuff.
Yeah, but where does this go beyond poems and travel plans? What kind of practical applications are we talking about?
Okay, well, let's start with scientific discovery. Imagine using mind evolution to, analyze huge data sets, identify patterns, generate hypotheses that humans might miss.
So speeding up research, helping scientists find breakthroughs faster.
Exactly. Think about fields like medicine, materials science, climate change.
Instead of researchers spending years poring over data, mind evolution could help them find those breakthroughs in, a fraction of the time.
Right, and it doesn't stop there. Think about engineering and design. You could use mind evolution to design more efficient airplanes.
Or create safer self-driving cars.
Even develop personalized medical treatments tailored to a person's specific genes.
It's like having an AI brainstorming partner that can explore a million different possibilities.
And come up with designs that are both functional and innovative.
Okay, but what about something a little more human? You mentioned diplomacy earlier. Could AI really help with something as complex as international relations?
It's definitely a possibility. Mind evolution could analyze historical data, cultural nuances, current events,
Help diplomats understand different perspectives, maybe even predict conflicts.
and potentially suggest strategies for, resolving those disputes peacefully.
It's like having an AI advisor that can see the big picture and help us make better decisions on a global scale.
Now, before we get too carried away with all these potential applications, it's important to remember that
What's that?
mind evolution is still a relatively new technique. There's still a lot more research that needs to be done.
Okay, so what are some of the big questions that researchers are still trying to answer? What are the next steps?
One thing they're looking at is how to scale up mind evolution to handle even more complex problems.
So going from writing haikus to composing epic novels.
Exactly. The challenges we've talked about so far, they're impressive, but they're still relatively small scale.
We need to make sure mind evolution can handle those really big, hairy problems.
Right. Another big area of research is developing more robust and reliable evaluation functions.
Those are the rules that the AI uses to judge its own work.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The better those evaluation functions are, the more likely the AI is to come up with solutions that are actually useful and meaningful.
So we need to make sure the AI's internal critic is as sharp and insightful as possible.
Precisely. And then there's the question of how to incorporate human feedback into the mind evolution process.
Because even the smartest AI can benefit from a little human guidance.
Right. It's like having a coach or a mentor who can provide insights and perspectives that the AI might not be able to see on its own.
So there's still work to be done, but the potential of mind evolution is huge.
Absolutely. It feels like we're on the verge of a major breakthrough in AI.
One where we're moving from simply giving AI instructions to actually empowering it to think for itself.
Learn from its mistakes, continuously improve.
But as we keep developing AI with these advanced capabilities, we can't lose sight of the human element.
That's a really important point. What do you mean by that?
Well, we need to make sure AI is used to, augment and enhance human capabilities, not replace them.
We don't want AI taking over. We want it working with us.
Right. And we need to make sure AI is used to solve problems and create opportunities that benefit everyone, not just a select few.
It's about using AI to make the world a better place for all of us.
And we need to make sure AI is developed and deployed in a way that's ethical, responsible, and transparent.
No secret AI is making decisions behind closed doors.
Exactly. So it's not just about the technological innovation, it's about societal responsibility as well.
We need to have these conversations, think critically about the role we want AI to play in our lives and in the world.
Okay, before we go too deep into those ethical weeds, let's take a step back and recap what we've learned about mind evolution so far.
We've seen how it pushes the boundaries of AI problem solving, allows it to be more creative and strategic,
We've explored how it works with that internal dialogue and refinement process.
and we've talked about its potential applications in all sorts of fields, from science and engineering to diplomacy and beyond.
It's clear that mind evolution is a game changer for AI, but this is just the beginning.
There's still so much more to uncover and explore.
And maybe the most important takeaway is this. The future of AI isn't something that just happens to us.
It's something we create together.
Well said. We've reached the end of our deep dive into mind evolution for today.
Hope you've enjoyed this journey into the cutting edge of AI research.
But before we sign off, we have one last thought-provoking question for you, dear listener.
If AI can now learn to hide messages in poetry,
What other surprising abilities might it develop through methods like mind evolution?
and what could this mean for how we use AI in the future?
We'll leave you to ponder those questions. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Deep Dive. Okay, so we've talked about how mind evolution is pushing the boundaries of AI and all the amazing things it could do, but
So I got to remember there's always another side to the coin, right? We got to talk about the potential downsides.
the risks, the challenges, let's get into it.
Yeah, like one of the biggest worries with AI is bias.
Bias, how so?
Well, if the data you use to train an AI system is biased, the AI is going to learn those biases too, right? It could even amplify them.
So it's kind of like if you raise a kid with biased textbooks, they might end up with a warped view of the world.
Exactly. You got to feed the AI good, clean data if you want it to make fair decisions.
And what about jobs? People are always worried about AI taking over.
Yeah, that's a real concern.
Good.
As AI gets more and more capable, it's definitely going to automate some tasks that humans are doing now.
You've already seen it happen in some industries, right?
Right, and it's something we need to be prepared for. How do we adapt? How do we make sure everyone benefits from these changes?
It's not just about the tech, it's about the people, too.
Absolutely. Another big thing is transparency.
Transparency, what do you mean?
Well, as AI systems get more complex, it can be hard to understand how they're making decisions.
So like a black box, you put something in, something comes out, but you don't know what's happening inside.
Right, and that can be a problem, especially if an AI makes a decision that has a negative impact.
Yeah, you want to be able to trace it back, understand why that decision was made.
Exactly.
Accountability.
Accountability, trust, all that stuff. We need ways to audit and explain AI decisions, make sure they align with our values.
It sounds like there are a lot of ethical considerations to keep in mind as AI keeps evolving.
There are, but I'm hopeful. I think we can find ways to use AI for good while minimizing those risks.
So it's not about being afraid of AI, it's about using it responsibly.
Right, and that's going to take collaborations, researchers, policymakers, the public. Everyone needs to be involved.
We need to have these conversations, figure out the role we want AI to play in our lives and society.
And we got to be proactive, shape the future of AI, not just sit back and see what happens.
Okay, this deep dive into mind evolution, it's been eye-opening, to say the least.
It's amazing to see what AI can do, but those ethical considerations, they can't be ignored.
Well, I think this is a good place to wrap things up.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We talked about how mind evolution is pushing the boundaries of AI, how it works, the potential benefits, and the ethical challenges.
We've seen AI planning trips, writing poetry, even hiding secret messages.
But the big takeaway here is this. The future of AI is not predetermined.
It's up to us to shape it, to make sure it benefits humanity.
So to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay engaged.
And let's work together to create a future where AI is a force for good.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of a cutting edge of AI research.